What is really the study of zodiac? Any kind of zodiac systems. You take esoteric system and Vedic system, or you take Western tropical system, any of the system. What is the study of zodiac systems? And astrology, essentially, it all comes down to studying the signatures of different kinds of propensity and drive, or inclination or leanings towards one side. Esoterics, they call it archetypes. In Vedic astrology, they might call it sidereal, or the nakshatra, or the zodiac signs, or the houses of the sun, as we saw in the previous one. In this one, let us do a quick analysis of esoteric systems versus Vedic systems, sort of a comparative synopsis. Okay, there are 5 points to this to begin with. Both systems view the zodiac as a map of consciousness that can be used to gain insight into the human experience. However, esoteric meanings of the zodiac may focus more on archetypal qualities associated with each zodiac sign, while Vedic astrology may place more emphasis on the karmic implications of the planetary placement. There's a first hint for you. Vedic astrology focuses a lot on karmic implications. In fact, all Vedic astrologers will see a chart and tell you this is your karma. And this is where your doom and gloom scenario plays out. You're doomed to experience this and this, get fruits of this and this, whereas you can't do anything about it. It's a very dictatorial type of energy. It's a very fundamentalistic kind of approach. Whereas esoterics, astrology, will give you more of an archetype. This is where your leaning is. Okay, that's the first one. The second one, both systems recognize the importance of spiritual evolution and personal growth. However, esoteric meanings of the zodiac may focus more on individuals' journey of self-discovery and enlightenment, while Vedic astrology may place more emphasis on the individual's role in the larger cosmic scheme of things. Larger cosmic scheme of things also gives us a hint there about the nakshatra factor, the shades and the colors within each zodiac sign. Number 3, both systems use planetary rulerships to connect the zodiac signs with specific archetypes and qualities. However, esoteric meanings of the zodiac may interpret these archetypes in a more symbolic way, allegorical way, while the Vedic astrology may see them more as concrete and literal representations of the planets. Number 4, both systems recognize the importance of moon's nodes in understanding the person's karmic path and life lessons. However, esoteric meanings of the zodiac may focus more on the spiritual implication of the nodes, while Vedic astrology may see them as more directly linked to past life karma and its effect in the present. This is why esoteric astrology would use North Node or Rahu as the direction you have to go in this life, and Ketu as whatever you have accomplished already in the past life. Whereas Vedic astrology would see the nodes as Rahu as one who wants to go excessively outward, and Ketu as one who excessively wants to disconnect. See, there's a difference in this. Very different, and it gives very different results in this context when you talk about the moon nodes. Number 5, both systems place an emphasis on spiritual practice and self-awareness. However, esoteric meanings of zodiac may offer more varied practices and techniques, while Vedic astrology may focus more on specific rituals, mantras, and other practices prescribed in traditional text. So Vedic astrologers are very traditionally oriented. They don't tend to deviate and play with and understand it in a broader context. They would rather stick to tradition in a very dogmatic kind of way. However, esoteric will give you more freedom and leeway in trying to go more broader with the things. It wants to say how it can change stuff. Okay, now let us see the 12 archetypes of esoteric astrology, the meanings and the keynote for the soul, and how it compares to Vedic astrology. Now let's compare the esoteric meanings of each of the 12 zodiac signs, the keynote for the soul, and I have also stuck in the traditional rulers as said by Vedic astrology in symbols in the last portion, as you can see. Okay, here we go. Aries. Esoteric meaning of Aries is the will to initiate the archetypes of God on behalf of humanity's betterment. The keynote for the soul for Aries is I come forth and from the plane of mind I rule. Now Vedic systems assign Mars as the energy for it. Right? So Mars becomes the driver, the will to initiate. The soul is also signified, by the way, in Vedic texts as the will, the personal will versus the universal will. That's all the Vedic texts will talk about. The universal will or the Paramatma and the personal will, that is the Atma or Jivatma. Okay, Taurus. The desire to reveal the light of divinity hidden within form is the esoteric meaning. The keynote for the soul being I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. Ruled by Venus as per Vedic astrology. So this is one face of Venus which wants to see whatever light of divinity is hidden within form. And in Taurus, being an earth sign and fixed, Venus goes into earthly sensuality to explore that, to find the light of divinity within Taurus. Taurus can be a strongly spiritual sign. Okay. Number 3, Gemini. The esoteric meaning of Gemini is relating the pairs of opposite and building of the Antakarana. It's surprising, there is a Sanskrit name here. Antakarana is one that is the initial cause. Like the Big Bang, the initial cause of creation, Antakarana. Keynote for the soul for Gemini is I see my other self, and in the waning of that self I grow and glow. Now this is in the duality. Gemini is dual sign, so it is playing out in duality, right? So, ruled by Mercury as Vedic texts go, Vedic astrologies go, okay? So this is the first phase of Mercury, seeing the other self, and in the waning of the other self, means in the diminishing of the ego, I grow and glow. That's the soul keynote for Gemini. Cancer. Esoteric meaning, building the foundations of life through the warmth of nurturing love. This is the first of the moksha houses as Vedic astrology goes. And the keynote for the soul is I build a lighted house and therein I dwell. It's surprising, the keynote for the soul in esoteric astrology speaks of building a lighted house, because even in astrology it is ruled by the moon in Vedic astrology, and the 4th house stands for the home, the mother. Where do you find your house? Wherever your mother is, initial beginning days. And it also signifies the 4th house for land and real estate. See the commonality there? In Leo, the esoteric meaning becomes the will to be the authentic self and the power to convey illumination. The keynote for the soul is I am that I am. And it is ruled by Sun. And the Sun is the significator of soul, even in Vedic astrology and in esoteric astrology, as you can see the symbology there. I am that I am is the main soul signature. The soul is not dependent on whatever it is. It's the amness, it's the beingness of the soul. In Virgo, the esoteric meaning becomes the gestation of Christ principle within the womb of substance. Because Virgo in esoterics is portrayed as the virgin. The name itself comes from the virgin, Virgo. So it is talking about going into the principle of Christ consciousness within the womb of substance. So Virgo, as in it wants to take an earthly dive and discover that within the physical reality. Virgo in Vedic astrology is also depicted as the second earth sign, number 6, 6th house. There's the commonality there. The keynote for the soul for Virgo is I am the mother and the child. I God, I matter am. So Virgo goes into the mother, it goes into the child, it goes into the matter, and it goes into the God factor. Meaning it goes from, traverses all planes of existence. This is the primordial virgin energy, which we typically call in Vedic terms, we would call this as Devi, as Shakti, as the feminine principles that governs all existence. It traverses all dimensions. But here, Virgo is being ruled by Mercury, right? So it is using the intellectual form of Mercury. The highest graduation of your intellect is in this. In Libra, the esoteric meaning becomes the harmonization of duality through establishment of right relationship. Libra is about scales. Libra is about balance. Libra is about relationships. When you talk of relationships, you always talk of duality. You talk of me and the other. The me and the other itself becomes duality. Keynote for the soul becomes, I choose the way that leads between two great lines of force. What are these two great lines of force? Now, in the previous one also we spoke of day and night as the balance of day and night. Both Aries and Libra are trying to balance both. Aries just goes forward, whereas Libra is trying to balance the scales. Here it is the other face of Venus, which is going forward with the Venus transformative ability to transcend duality itself. Venus as in portrayed by Vedic astrology. Scorpio, the esoteric meaning becomes discipleship that is demonstrated through the transformation of shadow. Scorpio is very interested in discovering and uprooting the shadow. Yes? So the keynote for the soul becomes, for the Scorpio, warrior I am, and through the battle I emerge triumphant. What battle are we talking about? If we are talking about the transformation of shadow, and if we are talking about the warrior kind of energy and the battle kind of energy, it is internal. It's internal shadow which we are transforming. Scorpio is interested in transforming that internal energy. In Vedic astrology, it is ruled by Mars and Ketu, the south node of the moon, co-ruled by both. This means it goes forward with that Martian, fiery, warrior-like energy, and it goes within to transform the shadow. Ketu wants to transform the shadow. There's the commonality there. Sagittarius, the esoteric meaning becomes the quest for meaning and aspiration to strive towards one's vision. The keynote for the soul becomes, I see the goal, I reach the goal, and then I see another. Another hint there of dual sign as per Vedic astrology. As per Vedic astrology, this is ruled by Jupiter. Sagittarius is the ruler. So what does Jupiter seek? The Jupiter seeks wisdom and knowledge. See the esoteric meaning there? The quest for meaning and the aspiration to strive towards one's vision. The dual factor is shown by, I see the goal, I reach the goal, and then I see another. This shows the dual nature of Sagittarius. They are moving between one goal to another. In Capricorn, the esoteric meaning becomes spiritual initiation and the will to achieve on behalf of the soul's purpose. The keynote for the soul becomes, lost I am in the light supernal, and yet on the light I turn my back. Capricorn is about reaching the pinnacle and coming back to bring that knowledge into the physical world. It is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is also symbolified, as you can see, as a sickle which goes into the ground, and the cross which is already shown on the top portion. Look at the symbol of Saturn there. The symbol of Saturn in Western astrology, esoteric astrology, is used like that. What does that cross symbolify? Something that is conquered. In Saturn conquers everything above and wants to go deep inside, the deep underground. In Vedic astrology, it is also symbolified as something that rules beyond life. It rules death itself. It rules everything hidden, everything underground. and to bring forward that into the physical world. Capricorn is an earth movable sign, right? So it wants to do this. It wants to go towards the light and bring the light back to this plane. In Aquarius, the esoteric meaning becomes the giver of life through the recognition of unity underlying diversity. Aquarius being all about the masses, the 11th house in Vedic astrology. So it's all about going forward into the collective. Means you have to see that underlying diversity that is there. Creation is not interested in one thing. Look at the diversity in nature. Look at the different types of birds there are, different types of plants there are, different types of algae there are. Okay? Creation is about variety, and Aquarius, as the giver of life, goes forward and explores that underlying diversity. Underlying diversity can also be compared to the secretive nature of Aquarius, as we saw earlier. The keynote for Aquarius then becomes the water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. This is giving the symbol of Aquarius as the person with the kumbha, or person with the pot holding the water. That's the symbol of Aquarius. So poured forth for thirsty men here means the same graduation which is happening in Capricorn. The exploration of Saturn which is having in Capricorn now comes combined with the North Node or Rahu and then gives it to the world. It's again all, both the keynote and the esoteric meaning of Aquarius is about the other, digging deep, finding something, bringing it outward. The esoteric meaning of Pisces, finally, the power to save through the demonstration of sacrificial love. The keynote for the soul is I leave my father's home and turning back I save. This is according to Vedic astrology ruled by Jupiter. Now this is the highest evolution of Jupiter itself, where it has the power to save and demonstration through sacrificial love. What kind of love that you think is sacrificial in the most common terms? Tell me, what do you think it is? It is mother's love. Mothers all over the world, the mother energy spends all her life loving her child. Doesn't matter how twisted, broken, bent or perverted they are, they spend their time worrying about them. They worry where they are, how they are doing. Are they doing well or not? That is the mother's sacrificial love. She spends her whole life energy in this. So Piscean energy is the highest evolution of Jupiter as we see it. I leave the father's home and turning back I save becomes esoterical keynote meaning for the soul. So Jupiter can save in the highest form of evolution of mother energy, the divine feminine mother energy. Okay, so we can see some commonalities between esoteric astrology and Vedic astrology. We need to build a sort of bridge in understanding what each one is speaking. We may all be speaking the different language even in esoterics and even in understanding the soul path through astrology and so on and so forth. But we need to find that thread that runs invisible through all these finer, very, very reflective, internalized, sensing, feeling energies. Only then we can come up with something useful to bring it out and play in this world, yes? So next we shall talk about other aspects. In the meantime, be safe. Take care.